Hi, my name is Marlon. I'm the chef here at A1 Café, and today be walking through the Valentine's Day meal kit. And the reason I've chosen these dishes is because my wife is at home taking care of two kids, and she's always cooking. So when I do get that chance to cook for her, I like to cook for a family of 6, even though it's just the 2 of us eating. Today we're going to do a bone-in ribeye steak with salsa verde, a charred broccoli salad with halloumi, walnuts, and harissa vinaigrette, spaghetti alla olio, and 6 raspberry point oysters with a simple mignonette. We'll start off by cooking the ribeye. Generously season with salt on both sides. A lot of people like to do salt and pepper, but I like to do pepper after because I find that pepper burns when you're searing at a high temperature. We're just going to go over here to a pan that I have preheating. Just a little bit of oil to cover the bottom of the pan. And then we're going to start searing the steak on the fat side just to get some of that beef fat rendered out. It's really important to give it a good press so that the entire surface of the steak is being touched by the pan. You might want to lift it up because as you put it in, the oil is going to disperse from underneath it. I just do it by feel, basically, maybe 3-4 minutes. But what you're essentially looking for is color. You want it to be nice golden brown, evenly. You want the fat to render out. So the steaks that you'll be receiving in the kit will be sous vide. So essentially what you're going to do is you're going to temper it or cook it in a very low oven just to bring the heat back up to where we cooked it at, and then you're going to sear it to get the nice color. Essentially this is what we're looking for, a nice golden brown. The fat's been rendered off. And we're going to move on to the sauce for the steak. So we're going to go in with 3 cloves of garlic. We can do this first part in a food processor if you have it, or you can do it by hand. I like to flip my steaks multiple times just so it gets an even cook on both sides. I have 3 anchovy fillets here. What the anchovies are for is going to give the salsa verde a nice salinity. If you don't like the fishy taste, you can omit the anchovies altogether. Go in with about 2 tablespoons of capers. Just going to give this a rough chop. And then into our bowl. And next we're going to go with our herbs. We've got cilantro. So we want to cut these herbs nice and fine, rolling them in a tight ball. Next we'll do parsley. So you just want to roll it up nice and tight. Keep your knuckles in. And you really don't want to go over the herbs more than once. So you'll bruise them and they become all brown. Next we'll go in with the mint. Just a fine chiffonade again. A little bit of Calabrian chili for heat. Olive oil. Some red wine vinegar for acidity. Some lemon juice. Give it a mix. I grab some garlic cloves, give them a smash. Into the pan. Couple sprigs of thyme, and then we're just going to start basting it. Just going to give the steak a really nice aroma. While the steak's going, I'm just going to drop our pasta. So for me, the key for spaghetti alla olio is you want your water to be salted but not heavily salted. The reason for that being is we're going to use the water from the pasta pot in the sauce, and when you reduce it, if your water's over salted, essentially your sauce is going to be over salted as well. So when our steak's good and ready, just going to pull it off onto a resting rack. And a good rule of thumb is For however many minutes you cook your steak, that's essentially how long you want to rest for. Because as you cook it, you're expelling all the liquids to the outer surface, and when you rest it, all the juices of the steak will distribute, normalize throughout the entire steak. So if I were to cut that right now, all the juices would just spill out and you'd have a dry steak. So about 20 minutes, I'd say, and then it'd rest for another 20 minutes. So we're gonna cook the pasta to about 60-70% through because we're going to finish the pasta in the pot with the sauce. The reason being is we want those starches out into the sauce. It'll make it thick and creamy without adding any added butter. So for the spaghetti aglio olio, we go with 3 cloves of garlic. As thin as you can possibly slice it. We kind of want it to melt into the sauce. And then we're gonna go in with parsley stem. It's got a nice flavor, and everyone usually throws this out, but it works really good in starting as a base for your pasta sauce. So just like the herbs before, a nice fine chop. So we're gonna set that off to the side while we wait for our pasta. And then we'll start with the broccoli for the salad. So we just want really nice florets, being these guys. And then we're just gonna give them a little blanch in some salted water. Not very long, just until they start to turn a vibrant green. And then we're going to cut the halloumi cheese for the broccoli salad. What about a nice 1/4-inch slice? Check on our pasta. So as you can see, the broccoli's changed into a nice vibrant green color. And I'm just gonna let that hang out until we're ready to sear it. Next, we'll do the vinaigrette for the broccoli salad. Starting off with our harissa paste, a little bit of honey, juice of 2 lemons, then we're gonna go in with the rest of the cilantro. The rest of the mint. And then just slowly stream in some olive oil. So our pasta's almost there. You can slowly start putting the sauce together. This may seem like a lot of olive oil, but you'll see what I mean by using the starch from the pasta and the pasta water. And then we're gonna start frying off our parsley stem and our sliced garlic. So you don't want your pan too hot. So you wanna keep your pan in constant motion because you don't wanna burn your garlic. And then depending on how spicy you like things, we'll add a little bit of Calabrian chili. And we'll grab our pasta here. So the pasta right now is still very toothsome. It's not cooked all the way through. And then we're gonna add pasta water to the dish. So the pasta water kind of comes up to the top of the spaghetti. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna cook it down so these starches and the oil kind of emulsify together. So while that's going, we're just gonna put together the garnish for kind of the last finishing steps for the spaghetti. From the parsley stems, we're just gonna use the other part of it. So add a nice fine chop like we did for the salsa verde. And then we'll need the juice of 2 lemons. While that's going, we can sear the halloumi and the broccoli. A little bit of oil in each pan. Season the broccoli again. So we're just going to leave the broccoli in there, develop a really nice crust on the underneath. You can see the sauce starting to come together. It's getting nice and thick. That's from all the starch in the pasta starting to cook out into the sauce. Go in with our halloum. So as you can see right now, it's become nice and thick, almost kind of creamy. And at this point I'll go in with the fresh parsley, finish it with some lemon juice. And that'll finish that. Go back to our halloum here. I'm gonna plate up the pasta right now. The nice thing about spaghetti aglio olio is it's nice and simple, but it's packed with flavor. And then we're gonna finish it with some grana padano. The halloum is nice and seared. Broccoli's got some nice charring to it. So what we're going to do now, when the broccoli is good and ready, we're just going to add some of our harissa vin straight into the pan. Give it a nice coat and glaze. So we're just going to put a little vinaigrette on the bottom. And then we're going to start putting the salad together. Kind of want to layer it, so when you go grab the broccoli, you get a little bit of everything. And then we're just going to finish it with a nut dukkha. It's got walnuts, pecans, and pistachios. Just some fresh herbs on top. And we are going to go on to the steak. So I've kept a pan on, because what we're going to do is we're just going to give it a little blast of heat. Because right now the steak's still warm, we just want to make sure the outer surface is nice and hot. Well, this is going to take a few seconds. I'm going to put a little bit of salsa verde on the bottom. And then now is when I'll hit it with some freshly cracked pepper. First, we're going to separate the bone, straight down like that. Then we're just going to cut it into slices. We're going to go ahead, transfer this on top of the salsa verde. And then we will finish with some more on top. I think the salsa verde pairs really nicely with the ribeye steak because the ribeye is nice and fatty. And the salsa verde kind of cuts through that. So there you have it. The ribeye steak with salsa verde, charred broccoli salad with halloum cheese and harissa vinaigrette, and spaghetti aglio olio. We're going to start off with the starter for the Valentine's Day kit. Right now we're going to make the sauce, which is pretty much a classic pairing for oysters. It's just a basic honey mignonette. So in the bowl right now we just have some honey, and then into that we're just going to brunoise some shallot. Probably about a tablespoon worth of shallot. And then to this we're going to add a generous amount of cracked pepper. And finish it with some red wine vinegar. So you just want to mix it until the honey's all dissolved. And then we're just going to pour that into the serving vessel. So the reason for the mignonette is to kind of enhance the flavors and the brininess and the sweetness of the oysters. Also to kind of counteract all those things as well. So you want to keep these as cold as possible in the fridge before eating. So we'll start with the kitchen towel and we'll fold it up to kind of give you a raised platform. And we're gonna put the oyster down on the edge to kind of give you a 45-degree angle. And then with the other side, we're just gonna hold it in place. And here we see the tip of the back end of the oyster. We're gonna take our shucking knife and we're just gonna kind of wiggle it in there. You don't wanna push too hard or you're gonna stab right through the oyster. So we just kind of gently wiggle it, and kind of like a key, you just want to kind of keep turning till you hear a pop like that. Brush off your oyster knife, get your oyster level, and then kind of hold it in place like that. What you're going to do is you're going to take the kind of beveled end of the oyster knife and you're going to slide it across the top of the oyster shell. What that's going to do is it's going to remove the abductor muscle here from the top. Go in, check to make sure there's no shells on the bottom. And then what you're going to do, you're going to take that same beveled edge and you're just going to remove the abductor muscle from the bottom. Just like that. To make sure it's fully detached, I just like to turn it over like that. What we have set up here is just a plate of ice. You can keep your oysters on there until you're ready for them or eat them while you're cooking. So you just want to take a spoonful of this mignonette, place it over top of the oyster. You basically want to treat it like a shot, all in one go. So there is the starter for the Valentine's Day kit. A nice, fresh, beautiful way to start a romantic dinner with your partner.